much. With us now, Congresswoman Nancy Mace and Neetu Arnold with the National Association of Scholars. It's a pleasure to have both of you on. Thank you so much for joining us. Congresswoman, you know, it's a full-time job tracking the president's whoppers and mistakes. He's saying the deficit is coming down. It's coming down because pandemic spending programs by the government are going away. What do you make of Biden's bailout of the student debt for the upper bracket?
Well, Joe Biden is pouring gasoline on the dumpster fire that is inflation. Imagine this. One of my very first jobs was as a waitress at the Waffle House. Every waitress across the country is now going to be paying up to $20,000 in student loan debt for someone going to graduate school to get their MBA, or someone going to law school, or someone in college or university. And it's outrageous that he's going to make the folks that are blue-collar workers, that he's going to have them pay for the college of other people in this country. Yeah,
you know, too, the Congresswoman's point, Neetu, it's not for Joe the plumber. Middle-class Joe is not about Joe the plumber right now. It's not for electricians or hairdressers who went to trade schools or Americans who volunteer for the military. What do you make of all this? It's unfair.
It is unfair, and unfortunately, debt forgiveness is not going to prevent future student debt crises. In fact, it's actually going to increase the cost of college, and that's because students will be emboldened to borrow more in student loans, and as they borrow more, they may even delay their repayments, because why pay it off? You might as well have debt forgiveness, and for the colleges, they have an incentive to increase their tuition because they know that students can simply turn to the federal student loan system to offset increases in price. So really, this is just unfair, and it's not right.
Yeah, it doesn't stop fat cat academic gouging, right? Tuition gouging in middle-class families for things like five-star cafeterias on campus, or you know, these expensive gyms and the like. Let's watch how the president walked away from questions on this, about how unfair it is. Watch a taxpayer ask the same of Senator Elizabeth Warren. Watch this.
Is this unfair to people who paid their student loans or chose not to take out loans?
Is it fair to people who, in fact, do not own multi-billion-dollar businesses? They see why these guys give them all the tax breaks? Is that fair? What do you think?
What about people who paid their loans, though, struggle to pay their loans, and now others don't have to?
My daughter's getting out of school. I've saved all my money. She doesn't have any student loans. Am I going to get my money back? Of course not. So you're going to pay for people who didn't save any money, and those of us that did the right thing get screwed.
Canceling student loan debt is good for the people whose debt is canceled, but it is also good for our economy and the rest of America.
How is it good for our economy if our taxes have to go up to pay for it, Congresswoman? Even former President Obama did not do this.
Well, think about this. Taxpayers are now going to be paying off the student loan debt for students who often go to colleges and universities that are paid for and subsidized by, guess who? The American taxpayer. And where's Nancy Pelosi in all of this? Just last year, she said that people think the President of the United States has the power for debt forgiveness, and he does not. End quote, Nancy Pelosi. What is her statement on all of this today? Hard to find, but again, you know, this is a good way to get votes in November, I suppose.
Wait, so are Republicans going to move on a bill to try to stop this?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what the legislative process will be to put an end to it. We're in the minority. Anything that we do will probably be stopped by the majority, by Democrats like Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, but if you take back control, you may move on it, right?
Right, but then if we have a Democrat-controlled Senate, that makes things all the more harder, too. That means Republicans and Democrats have to work together, and that hasn't happened in a very long time.
Got it. Neetu, you know, even Democrats like Jason Furman, he's one of Obama's top economic advisors, saying this is reckless. It's pouring roughly $500 billion of gasoline on the inflationary fire. Can you talk to us more about how this doesn't stop the problem at the front end of soaring tuition gouging?
Yes, you know, it's not preventing increases in tuition, and this is really a problem. And I think what we're not addressing here is how to stop the student loan crisis. And one of the ways we can do that is we need guardrails on who should receive federal loans. It's unfortunate that public funding goes to psychology majors, but those psychology majors don't even end up working in psychology. And so I think when it comes to federal student loans, We need to consider academic merit. We need to consider a student's expected
Well, wait a minute.
earning
You know what we need to consider? Sorry, Neetu. We need to consider racketeering RICO charges against fat cat academic colleges who are basically in lockstep raising tuition at the same rate across the board. They operate on the taxpayer's nickel, and they're building white elephant football stadiums, five-star cafeterias where they don't have to pay taxes. They've got administrative bloat. The administrators outnumber teachers, often 40-1. These academics are selling useless degrees people cannot use in the real world.
Yes, absolutely. And at the National Association of Scholars, where I work, we would like to see administrative bloat reduced. You know, what I would also like to see is, and this would have been preferable with Biden's decision to forgive student loans, that the colleges are also held accountable. I would have wanted to see colleges pay for each one of their students who benefits from loan forgiveness. I think that would have to make them more responsible in their admissions.
This is the hotel. Colleges are using Congresswoman, the hotel business model. And that's what it is. It's blowing out rooms, meaning dormitory rooms, and blowing out college campuses while they're building it on the taxpayer nickels. You know, reduce their tax benefits for every cent that they raise tuition. Let's listen to Kellyanne Conway on this. Watch.
Obama economist Larry Summers and others are making this point, Sean, that you're going to make education more expensive by letting these colleges know that, oh, gee, every student basically has an extra $10,000. Let's just tack it on from the beginning. But in addition to that, we are making things more expensive because they continue to spend money that we don't have on things that we don't need. And let me just conclude with this. I'm hopping mad that we have an entire political party in this country, the Democrats, who don't believe in investing into opportunity scholarships, school choice, charter schools, educational freedom. If you want to invest in education, let's front load it into these kids who have been suffering under Biden's policies for 2 years.
Is this one of his worst blunders ever, Congresswoman?
Well, Afghanistan was pretty bad, but if we're going to help students with education and paying for college and university, if their college and university is getting subsidized by the government, then they should be capping tuition hikes for those students. That is a great first step and is not happening in this country enough
So it's
today.
a pretty bad blunder. It rates pretty high up there, right?
Correct.
Okay, Congressman Mace, Neetu Arnold, thanks for spending time with us. It's good to see you both.